You got to remember, this show isn't for left or right. It's for reasonable. And I try to expose the game everywhere I see it. We did it with Meadows and those texts about the poison in the party system. Nancy Pelosi offering President Biden some very interesting advice in 2020, saying, quote, don't go too far to the left. We didn't get here in the majority by going to the left. And I can say that as a left-wing San Francisco liberal. Let us win, okay? She's right. So why are so many in her party so angry? Let's discuss this and how to get better with former presidential candidate, founder of the Forward Party, book by the same name, Forward, Andrew Yang. Good to see you, brother. Thank you for being with us.
It's great to be here, Chris. I was in that race. I remember Joe Biden in 2020, and I'm shocked that people are shocked by Nancy Pelosi's words to him, because that's exactly the kind of thing people would say behind the scenes.
Because that's where the core of the country is. Center, maybe a little left on social issues, center a little bit right on fiscal issues. That's why, in the general, people always race back towards where regular people are after primaries, where they have to prove how extreme they are.
Well, even within the Democratic primary, no one saw Joe Biden as the liberal firebrand.
Lefty,
you know
right.
Yeah, the lefty. I mean, and he beat Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren within the party. The balancing act that Nancy Pelosi is describing is that there's a tension between appealing to folks in the middle and independents and moderates, and then, quote unquote, activating the base, which is getting higher turnout among your most, let's say, passionate young voters or another group along those lines. So every candidate at that level is going to have a balancing act between those two priorities. But Joe clearly it was designed more around the former audience than the latter.
He was a return to convention because of what Trump had introduced into the dialogue as extremism. And that's really what wound up helping him get. He was familiar.
His basic message was a return to normalcy.
Yeah.
Let's do away with the Trump madness.
But aren't they fighting over an ever-shrinking slice of the electorate, which is fringe thinking, extreme culture warriors? I mean, don't we see that the fastest growing group in the electorate are independents, people who don't want to be Democrat or Republican?
Yeah, that's what the numbers say. I mean, up to 50% of Americans now self-identify as independents. I'm one of them. You know, come on in, the water's fine, to Chris's message. But when you look at what's driving the political narrative of the day, you know it's the folks on Twitter feeding into press accounts. And those points of view tend to be most strongly held by about 8% of the population. It's just 8% is much more visible and prominent and gets a lot more social media engagement.
Well, and magnified by the media overall. I made that mistake. When social media started to blow up, it seemed to me like a shortcut towards Vox Populi and having the voice of the people, but it isn't.
It's really, really bad for journalism. I had a tweet I got attacked for where I said, look, I think you shouldn't have journalists on Twitter because it ends up distorting your point of view as to what people think. And it's a shortcut to story writing because you can be like, oh, let me go on Twitter and see what's going on. And then you can access sources. Because at that time I was running for president, I was trying to become a source. So I was like, ooh, let me be on Twitter and try and make friends with these reporters. But it really does not improve the quality of reporting.
It's magnified a minority. They'll say, hey, Andrew, people are upset about what you said. How many people? 5,000, 50,000? You know, that's how many? And that's going to be what is the lead of a major publication?
Like the main thing you have to do if there's like an episode on Twitter, which I've had a few of them, is just go outside and you know, interact with people on the street, and no one knows what the heck is going on,
right.
Like in the social media ecosystem.
And it's not that they're ignorant as to their own concerns and what matters and what they value. They're just not paying attention to the game, as I call it. And that's why I've had a tactical switch. My strategy is still the same, which is I don't believe that we get to a more perfect union. I don't believe that we get to where we can be as a nation by playing a game that only benefits the parties, ultimately. And whereas I used to say, oh, we got to focus on getting more parties, which I definitely think would be great for choice. But if people have the agency, if they stop signing up to be Democrat, to be Republican, and they are independent, I think that changes the game because you don't have the numbers, you don't have that base to electrify with divisive rhetoric. You have to play to interests.
So about 2/3 of young people are following your advice where they're identifying as independents. The problem, though, is when they show up at that ballot box, they don't have a third category to vote for. They still get stuck with the R and the D.
Hey, thank you for watching. please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.